This is Justin Williams. He rides for CashCall Mortgage. How old are you, Justin?
I just turned 23.
23. Well, take me back to when you were on the U23 team, Trek Livestrong. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
That was cool. It's cool being around a bunch of kids who have so much talent. I mean, I had Taylor Finney, who was on my team, and now he's doing big things, and Jesse Surgeon and Alex Dowsett. So it was cool. It was a cool experience being around a bunch of guys that were really, really good, but still really, really young. We all could relate to each other.
How long were you on that team?
I was on it for 1 year.
1 year. What is, I'm going to change the subject a little bit here. Have you experienced a breakthrough?
I feel like this year I've experienced a breakthrough. Just the right kind of support, the right kind of, team, just a really stable team and just a really good management. And, I think it's for sure the best year I've had so far. So I think I'm on my way to a breakthrough. I still think, I'm still struggling in the road races and still trying to get a hold of those, but I think that I'm definitely on my way to like a really big breakthrough.
Are you having to make a life change?
It's more of a growing up, it's more of a maturity, I think. It's not really, a life change. I mean, I do little things differently, I'm away from home a lot more because, I live in LA and the training kind of sucks, so I'm always in Thousand Oaks. And, just watching what I eat a little bit better, cutting back on sugars. So, I mean, that kind of stuff is easy, just order water, it's free, so, that makes it a lot easier, and, that's really it. I don't really think that I've changed as a person.
You've given me the inside scoop on Team CashCall. Tell us what the team is like from a rider's perspective, and would you say there are some positives and negatives of the team?
Yeah, I think there's a ton of positives. We're an upcoming team. A lot of guys on the team have only been riding for a couple of years, so it's crazy how good they've gotten, how fast. So you have guys like Devin Dunn, which I don't think he knows how good he is, You have guys like David Santos, which I think he's really our sleeper. I think that he has that something that you need to be really, really good, and he's new, he's a runner, and he just started cycling, and I think that he's going to be I think he's our, star. But the team is good, everybody gets along, it's more of a family, we have, our moments, but at the same time, there's never any no one holds anything, no one, holds on to anything, so, when we have our moments, we talk it out, Paul makes us talk it out, and we get over it. So, I mean, I think that's really good. It's really positive, It's always a positive environment. We have Brian on our backs constantly, oh, do this, come on, guys, just like our motivator. And then, everybody has a role, and I think we all play our role pretty well. The negatives are just like everyone's learning. The guys are so new, we're still learning to be a team. They're learning to be bike racers while learning to be pros, while learning, they're learning so much so fast. It's pretty incredible, how good they're getting it, So I think, at Barry Wolf, I think we really, started to lock on to what needs to be done, and then for sure at State Road Race, I think everyone did their job perfectly, and we're really getting there as a team, and I think that if the program continues to be like that, then we'll be one of the top teams pretty soon.
Are you the leader or the captain of that team?
It's cool because, there's no real leader of the team, I want to say, but we have, this setup to where, Brian's really smart, and even though he hasn't been riding that long, he's the oldest guy on the team, and he's the guy that everyone can relate to and everyone can talk to, So off the bike, I would say Brian's probably our leader, He's the most responsible, him and Dave, of course, and then he's just never in a bad mood, No one ever gets to him. And then on the bike, I have a lot of experience in the crits, and I raced for Livestrong, and then I raced for rock racing, when I was on rock racing, we did a ton of like, I was just always the guy that they were like, oh yeah, you know, you're a crit racer. Let's, you know, get you to the big crit. So when I was like 17, I was doing like the biggest crits. So I know them really, really well. So I would say that I help as much as I can, and I like to lead my team and you know, lead by example. In the crits, and then in the road races we have Brian, and I think he does a really good job of knowing when to be at the front and knowing when to you know, get the guys back on their game. And we have Michael too, and he's the German guy on our team, and he's, you know, guys don't know who that guy is, and he's just like crazy good. You know, he was like at the U23 World Championships. He's led out like the biggest pro guys, and it's crazy because he comes here and like no one knows who he is, but he's a huge name and he's a crazy talent, you know. So he gives guidance a lot, but I think that me and Brian take the leadership roles a little bit more on the bike.
You mentioned Paul Abrahams, which is your director.
Right.
How has he influenced you?
Oh man, I think he's exactly who I was. You know, when he was younger. I could see it in his attitude. I could see it when he's in a bad mood, and like I can really understand where he's coming from. You know, if team does something wrong, I know how he's feeling, so it makes it easier for me to, you know, open up to him 100%. You know, whether it's like I don't want to do this race, or like I don't feel ready for this, or you know, what do you think I need? So I think that's really important for managers, and I don't think a lot of managers have that. You know, I don't think. Right, the teams that I've been on, I never really like gave in 100% to any of my managers, and for the first time I have, and I think that's really why I'm growing so much at this point. So I mean, I think he's a great manager, and I think he'll be one of the best managers if, you know, the team continues to grow.
You are one of the fastest sprinters in America. What is it going to take to get you to the next level?
Good management. Like this program, I really feel like this program is going to get me to the next level. Like I think that having a good training partner in the off seasons and really taking the off seasons a little more seriously, you know, suffering in off seasons like I never suffered as much as I suffered in Redlands, you know, and you know, Joe Wiley, he really helps out the team, and Paul told me at the end of the race, they're like, man, in the off season you got to have, you know, at least one or two of these days a week. And I was just thinking about that, and I really do, you know, because if a race can be easy for me, then at the end I'm usually really dangerous, you know. As long as I can make it to the end of any race, you know, I know how to win, and I like to win. So I think that's what I really need to make it to the next level. Just a really good training partner. And Paul, you know, constantly reminding me. My coach Jim Lehman is like great, so he's really helping me get there. And just like a really good team around me, and I have a really good team around me. So I think that's gonna really help.
You know, you've been in some really big criteriums this year, and you are inches away from winning those races. What needed to change? What could have changed? What needed to change? What could have changed for you to win those races?
They're really little things. It's cool. I had the luxury of going on a trainer ride with Robert Foster, and this guy is like huge. You know, he rides for United now, and he just explained to me. You know, he's like, if you can see who won. You know, if you know what mistakes you made, and you know everything that happened in the last 200 meters, then your day will come. It's like one of those things where, you know, you can only push so hard. I feel like I'm the fastest guy in a lot of these races, but you know, I'm either, you know, fighting with two different teams, or you know, another team has more. It's just me, or like Michael did his job already, and you know, I'm just locked in, and then I just. You know, there's a lot of other guys around, but I think that it'll come. I don't think I need to do anything different. I'm riding really good right now, and you know, I'm always there, so I think my day will come.
I think so. What is the hardest bad habits you've had to kick since you've moved up to the pro cycling ranks?
Training. When I was a junior, I never had to train. It was just like all talent. And in the longer races, even in the harder crits, you can't just race off of talent. So I think training is one of the big ones. And, you know, I'm really laid back, you know. And I think I've had to be a little more, you know, assertive in the bigger races and moving up to the pro ranks.
What is the biggest race that you've ever won?
I think the biggest race I've ever won for sure is the U23 National Credit. I was 19, so it's crazy to think about that now. Like, my little brother's 19, it's his first year, and for him to win nationals would be huge. Like, you know, it's like I'm sure no one expected it. And when I was at that race, I was really pissy because I didn't get a call up, you know, but I was like 19, and it was like my first year, so to win that was just really cool. I mean, I've done bigger races, but that one really sticks.
Tell me about nationals. It's coming up.
Yeah.
What do you want to do in nationals?
I want to win. Win for the team. I want to bring it home for California. I know I can do it, you know. I don't think there's anyone faster than me here. And my team showed yesterday that no matter who's off the front, we can bring them back, you know. And that was crazy. That put so much confidence in me. And I know that, you know, them just doing it. We do it at the local level all the time. You know, we control those races. But to do it at a big race like this, where it's like, you know, balls to the wall and everyone's just suffering and, you know, sit on, to do it in that situation was great, you know. And I think that built a lot of confidence in the team. It definitely put so much confidence in me. And I think that, you know, we can do it for sure. For sure.
What kind of sacrifices do you have to make to ride your bike at the level that you do? Family wise, personal wise?
A lot. I mean, if you want to do it, you have to be willing to put everything on the line. I mean, my girlfriend lives in Texas, and, you know, most people would say, like, oh, dude, like, a long distance relationship suck, but I'm gone so much. You know, it would suck if she was here. Then it would be a problem because, like, we live in the same house, and I'm never home, you know. So it actually works out. I mean, with family, I grew up really close to my family and really strict. My parents, like, I never got to go anywhere when I was younger, you know. If I played sports, it was like straight from practice to home, you know. When I was younger, I couldn't even go outside on the weekends or the weekdays. I could only come outside on the weekends. So for me to, like, travel as much as I have or be away from home, it's like crazy stressful on my parents, you know. And I'm like their problem child, so so they're always crazy worried. But, you know, you really just have to, if you want something, you know, there's different levels of sacrifices, you know, and football is not the same as cycling. Cycling is a 24-hour job, you know, so even when you're off the bike, you know, maybe your girlfriend wants to go to a movie or maybe she wants to go shopping and you can't because you did 7 hours. You don't feel like standing up all day, you know, so it's a lot. It's a lot of sacrifice.
Who got you into the sport of cycling?
My dad used to race a lot when I was younger, and I just loved the sport. I don't know what I like. I think I just love the buzzing of just them coming by, you know, and just feeling the wind being on the curb, like, oh, these guys are going fast. So my dad used to do it. We're Belizean, and it's our national sport. So, you know, he started really late when he was like 26 before he came to America, and he got really good there, and he came here and raced here, and everyone wants to be like their dad, you know. They're just inspired by my father. And then when I was maybe 13, I met Rasan, because my dad and Rasan are really close. You know, there's not a ton of, you know, African Americans or black people in cycling, so there's a small group that are always together. And I met Rasan, and he came to Major Motion, and he introduced me to Dave Pulliam at Major Motion. And you know, Dave was great, and he just basically said, oh, you want to ride? Like, great, you know, like, let's get you a bike. And he ended up putting me on, like, his old Cannondale or something, you know, and it was like Shimano 500 parts and all this stuff, and I was just so excited to be on the bike. I didn't know any better, and that's how I got started, through Major Motion. And, you know, my dad being involved in cycling, meeting Rasan, and him coming through Major Motion, and then meeting Dave, and then it just took off from there.
Tell me when you have 5 laps to go and you're in one of these criteriums, what's your thought process?
It's funny, we were talking about this the other night. I don't really think about anything. I've done it for so long. Like, in junior races and in pro, I've been doing pro races since I was 16. So I just really have a good know of what's gonna happen. I really just turned my brain off 5 laps ago. I'm thinking so much until 5 laps ago, and then I just kind of go into autopilot. I don't really see anybody. Like, I see the same jerseys, but I don't know what I'm looking at most of the time. I'm just like, okay, all those guys are the same. This is where the momentum is. This is where I need to be. People are diving on this. It's just like programmed into my brain. So, I mean, it just autopilot really within the last 5 laps.
Tell me about that KHS bike. It's a CashCall KHS bike. What is it like to ride that bike?
It's nice, It's really stiff in the bottom bracket area. The power transfer is amazing. I love it. They're crazy light too, so that's cool. And then the front end really corners well. You can really point it. So it's a really good bike, and I'm glad we have the opportunity to help them grow as a company, and they're helping us grow as a team. So it's really cool to ride the bikes. And what's really great is I started out on KHS. After I got off the Canada on Major Motion, when I graduated, I guess you could say, we were sponsored by KHS, so I got a KHS Flight 600 or something. It was really cool. So to be back on the company I started with is really a cool deal.
Who do you model your cycling after?
I don't know. It's a good question. I kind of bounce back and forth, I don't really like, I'm not trying to be like anyone, but, there's guys that are pro tour that I look up to that, they really wow me, and it's, I guess a typical sprinter would model his career after a typical sprinter, but I mean, I'm really in love with like Fabian Cancellara and just like his talent, it's more of his talent level and his like professionalism that really inspired me, and Peter Sagan, that guy's my age and like wow, he can do everything, so he's one of my favorite riders, and I've hung out with him before, so I could see how calm he is and how like professional he is, and that's really cool.
What is it going to take to keep you in this sport on a sponsorship level?
Cycling is tricky. You make all these sacrifices, and sometimes there's not a lot in return for all the work you put in. Like I said, it's a 24-hour job, so to get paid, little or nothing for that sometimes, gets to you, gets to your family, gets to your spouse. It's not always easy. So I mean, for me to stay in the sport, I'm not looking for crazy much, just good support and pretty much just the belief and the feeling that like I'm going somewhere. As long as I'm continually moving up the ladder, that's what really keeps me inspired and keeps me going.
Can you give any advice to an amateur cyclist who has a dream to become a professional?
Do a 30-hour week and then see if you still want to be a professional cyclist after that. No, the best advice I think I could give to a guy that's trying to come up through the ranks and he wants to be pro is just to like make sure find something. There's gonna be a day on the bike where you're gonna realize, like, do I want to be here? You could hate it. You're gonna hate it. It could be raining. It could be freezing. It could be cold. And at the end of that day, if you really still want to be a bike racer, I think that's all it takes, man. It's just hard. It's one of the few sports where talent is not nothing, but talent is just a small part of it. If you're a hard worker, it really rewards hard workers. So if you can just put your head down and just every day, just do it day after day after day after day, and eventually you get it.
What 1 to 2 things do you believe that differentiates you from your contemporaries?
One thing is, I think that the way I started cycling, I just wasn't really strong. I wasn't the strongest guy ever, and I love to win. So I think the tactical side of sport really developed a lot for me. So I think that tactically, there's not a lot of people better than me. And I think that growing up with Rasan and just, having to not be afraid to take a corner at like 40 miles an hour when you're 14, I think my bike handling skills are really up to par. And then just coming from other sports, I play football and basketball, and mentally, I think I'm really tough mentally, and I just have to apply all those things to my training and not just my racing. And I think that's when everything will come together.
Do you think you can be the fastest sprinter in America?
I think I can be the fastest sprinter in the world. I mean, I know I have the talent, and I know I have the drive, and I know I have the killer instinct. I just have to do it. It's just really putting everything in motion. It's not talking about it anymore. So
putting in the work.
It's putting in the work, and putting my head down. And when I don't want to ride, it's going out and doing that 5 hours, or doing that 6 hour, 7 hour ride. It's just and doing it consistently. I think that's the real key for me.
We know that you have a huge fan base in Southern California, and we at CyclingIllustrated.com wish you the very best, and we are very thankful that you came and gave us some time and let us interview you.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys were around. It's cool.